Hello everyone, welcome back. So we have already covered two topics now. The one is event and observer and how we can observe a predefined event and how we can dispatch a custom event. And the third thing, which is very important if you're an experienced developer and want to write an optimized code, is how to correctly write the observers. Many people make mistakes over here and they don't follow the convention, which results in bad code. So let's start. This is a simple definition of observers. Observers are executed when an event is dispatched, which you already know by now. To create an observer, it needs to be added under module root observer, which you also know. And yes, a single event can have multiple observers. So event is something that's not related to observer in any way. Event is a one-way thing. It gets fired and multiple observers can observe a single event and can take actions accordingly. Now, there are certain best practices that needs to be followed whenever you are writing an observer. The first one is make your observer efficient. And how you can do that? Avoid writing any complex computation logic in the observers, especially the observers for the event which are fired repeatedly, like let's say adding a product to the cart or loading of product collection. So those things, if you add any computation logic into that, that will make your code slow and will affect the performance of your overall website. The second thing is you should not include the business logic in observers. Observers should strictly be related to observing the event and passing on the data to the next class. So basically, any business logic that you want to write, it should be written in model classes, which then can be injected in the observer. So business logic should be encapsulated in other classes. The third one, and that's a very important one, declare your observer in an appropriate scope. If you know that you're going to use this observer only for an event fired for a particular area. So let's say if you want to do some actions when add to cart occurs from front end, then that event should always be observed under the front end area and not under the global area. There are two disadvantages of it. Like if you declare such an event, let's say you're tracking something of a front end customer and you have created an observer based on product add to cart after. Now, if you declare that event in a global event XML file, then add to cart event will be recorded whenever you're adding a product via APIs or via the admin HTML also, rather than only on front end. So that is one thing. Second thing is it's very efficient to decide which scopes you are going to use and only do that, because it will save a lot of processing power when the observer will be executing unnecessarily. Next, avoid cyclical event loops. This is something that's very important. You should not create an observer which fires an event that again calls the event which this observer is being calling. So that is basically a cyclical event loop that should be avoided at all cost. Do not rely on the invocation order. Again, your logic should not be based on in which order your observer will be fired. So as I mentioned, a single event can have multiple observers and there is no fixed order in which the observer will be fired. So your business logic should not be dependent on in which order that particular observer is fired. It should be independent of that. So that's it about events and observers. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. We'll see you next time. Thank you.